Hey everyone, welcome into the Flippin' Hippos YouTube channel. I'm Star, and today we're going to talk about jeans that sold on eBay. We're going to look at jeans that sold on the eBay platform in the month of August. This is part 2 of our recent jeans that sold small series. If you didn't watch part 1, I'm going to have it pop up for you at the end. I go into more detail in there about cross-posting and ways to help with your slow sales and just some other tidbits and motivation as far as selling has been for a lot of us. So make sure you watch part 1. This is part 2, and our jean sales in August increased. They went up. So this is good news. Historically, over the summer, jean sales do drop a little bit for us. I've had some people say that they just don't sell jeans at all over the summer. That's never been the case for us. Historically, for 5 years, our jean sales stay steady through the summer. We sell less than in the winter, yes, but they're steady. And then in August, we'll see an increase as we move into the fall. We saw that this year. So I kind of have hope. Like, sales have been slow for a while, and we all know the economy's in the pisser. And we all know, people don't have funds in recession. But I'm seeing patterns in our store as we come out of the summer that I've seen in years past that were successful. So I have a little bit of hope. I don't know what this Q4 is going to be like. It's going to be different than anything ever before. So let's jump in and just talk about jeans. If you want to know, brands and what kind of things to look for, that's what we're going to talk about today. So you can be more educated in your decisions when you're outsourcing. These are democracy jeans. I love democracy jeans. They have these app technologies, and then they have some absolutely ones. They're shaping jeans. Those are always good. Women love shaping and slimming jeans. And I took a best offer, $24.99. Now, these usually sell for around $25. I list mine at $29.99. Because if someone buys them for that, bonus, but I have room to wiggle. I can do the offers down to $25. If you start at $24.99, you're looking at taking an offer of $20 probably. So keep that in mind when you're comping and when you're pricing. Always comp a little on the high side so you have room to wiggle. These are men's silver jeans. They sold for $39.37. There was a day when these would have sold for closer to $50, but you guys know what I'm going to say, right? You know it's coming. Don't race to the bottom. It hurts us all. I have been trying to say that at least one time in most of my videos and repeatedly in my shorter videos, the shorts I've been putting out as I'm thrifting and stuff, because I think it's super important that we all get in the mindset that our time is valuable, what we sell is valuable, and racing to the bottom is not helping anyone. It's destroying entire markets. Entire brands are not worth what they used to be. And if the rest of the world, during this recession is increasing their prices, and the prices on everything else are going up, including our cost of goods and what we thrift, why are we lowering our prices? Doesn't make sense, folks. Okay, that was my one time in this video. I won't mention it again. But just stop it. Stop it. So these silver jeans, again, $39.37. I paid about $5 for them. I love silver jeans. These have been my favorite jeans for years, even as they tumble to the bottom. Hudson's a good brand to look for. This is a solid brand that will sell for like $30 to $35 all the time. There's some styles. This is the Natalie. Super skinny. This didn't have a style. They're just skinny jeans. There's some styles that can go for up to $40, just depending on what you find. I'm happy with $30 to $35. I usually get these in thread ups. I don't find them in the wild that often, but I do love Hudson. I even had a little girl pair that sold for like $20 or $25, and that's like unheard of for kids' clothes. So keep your eyes out for Hudson. Lucky brand is hanging in there as a solid bread and butter brand for years now. This pair sold for $29.99. They were the Ava super skinny. Most of my Lucky brands sell for about $20 to $25 anymore, but because these had like a specific style and they were black, I decided to try for $30 and I got it. YMI, Wanna Betta Butt jeans, also a type of slimming jean. Always look for these Wanna Betta Butts. I love them. And who doesn't want a Betta Butt? I should do commercials for them. And who doesn't want a Betta Butt? And I usually start them between 25 and 30, depending on the size I get. I took a best offer of $22.49. The good thing about the YMI Wanna Betta Butts is they're typically junior sizes, so they're smaller and they're going to ship first class, which saves you money. Cabbage Jeans. I love these. These I actually found in the wild. I hardly ever do. I usually get these in my thread-up boxes. Cabbie's a good brand to look for. Solid bread and butter. I wouldn't pay more than like $3 or $4 for it because it does, you can start them around 30. You're going to get like 25. These sold for $26.24. More democracy. So these are the ab solution that I was talking about. So they have their ab technology. Here's the tag for you to look at. And then they have their ab solution. Now, the first time I ever flipped a pair of these, I sold them for $40. I start them at $30 now, but they will still sell for $25 to $30 all day long. You can see that. So don't list these below that. There's some people that think these are poop brand. They pass on them. Good. Fine. More for me. But don't list them at like the Gap and Old Navy and American Eagle prices and Glory Vanderbilt. Those are jeans you should be getting about $20 for. And when people list these gooder brands, these better brands like Democracy and even Silver for like $20, it's like, what are you doing? Oh my gosh, I think I might have mentioned it twice this video. Cut from the cloth, Natalie boot cut. So the cut from the cloths, I will typically start around 25 unless they have a special name. I usually start around 30, 35. Some of the plainer ones I'll start at 32. So cut from the cloth is really a mid to upper bread and butter brand. I do like these. I had started these at 35, but they were on our 30% off sale that we do every weekend. So they sold for $30.62. And, I don't pay much more than $3 or $4 a pair. I usually get them in thread ups a lot. Levi's 525s. So I mentioned in part 1 that I really like 505s and 525s. Here's an example of these. I took a best offer of $25. Perfect waist straight. And I know I tell you guys this all the time, but if you're new to the channel and a company or a brand is so kind as to put keywords for your items right on the waistband or right on the tag, use those keywords, put them in your title. Those are what people are looking for that are loyal to that brand or that style of the clothing that you're selling. Here's some more Wanna Betta Butt jeans. So YMI has their brand or their line of Wanna Betta Butts, and Royal has a brand. So both are good. And both are bad if they're not Wanna Betta Butt. So avoid Royalty and avoid YMI. Regular jeans. But if they're these Wanna Betta Butts, because who doesn't want a Betta Butt? I love saying it. I'm like 12 years old. Wanna Betta Butt? Wanna Betta Butt? Like a child. They're good. These typically come in junior sizes or smaller sizes as well. So you're saving on shipping. These sold for best offer $26.99. And I paid like $2 for them. Let me get a drink of water. Screaming about wanting a Betta Butt makes me thirsty. These are Paige. Paige is a solid bread and butter brand. It's a good brand. These are crops, so these are like capris. So I always start them a little bit lower because there's less clothing. I don't comp a lot of my jeans anymore. So when I tell you I have prices that I start things at, that's just what I start them at. I've been doing jeans for 5 years. I know what I know. About once or twice a year, I'll recheck comps just to be sure, because things can change. Like my silver jeans, I used to start at 40. I used to start them at 50, and I start them at 40 now. But once or twice a year, I will just check the comps to see, because things can change. There's obviously the constant race to the bottom, but sometimes some things can go up in value, and you want to stay consistent either way. But once you start to do something and you're repetitive and you've been doing it for a while, you really don't have to comp all the time. I'll comp off myself before I comp off of eBay. I trust myself more. It comes with experience. It comes with time. But I know that I can start page crops at 25, and I know that I can start regular page at 30. I know my silvers are going to start at 40. I know my 525s are going to start at 30. These are just things that you learn with repetition and experience. If you're newer to eBay and you're newer to the game, I always advise you to comp every single thing you list. Look at both solds and active. Looking at the solds is super important. You need to look at the sell-through rate. So that's the amount that are listed versus the amount that's sold. You want it to be, the solds to be, pretty high. Some people say equal to or more than the active, but the clothing world's a little different. It just depends. But you want to look at those solds to get your sell-through rates and what things are selling for right now. What are people willing to pay for them? But you also want to look at the actives, because maybe a couple of turds sold these page jeans for $10, and those are the recent solds you're seeing. But everybody else that has an active listing has them up for $25. So you know to list them for $25. Another thing I tell folks to do when they're brand new, check the comps, obviously on eBay, your solds and your actives. But if you know a seller that you trust or that you follow, comp off of them. You guys can comp your jeans off of me or Megan Mawhinney, if you're familiar with her. She's on Instagram. She's hugely successful and really knows her game when it comes to jeans. And her store is public. It's called Shop the Sandcastle. And when I have a new to me brand of jeans, I check eBay, but I check Megan's store too. You can check your Plush out on my store. Robert's store is public. So that's what I did when I was learning. I had experienced sellers I knew that I trusted, that I knew their stuff, that were successfully selling. And I would see what they were selling stuff for. And then, just with time, you can not comp anymore. But I don't advise you to stop comping until you're really experienced and you've done this enough that you can just off the top of your head in a thrift store look at a brand and say what you would list it for. That is the good thing about doing clothing, especially if you're niching down. Like we've niched down to basically just jeans and men's shirts. We do the same brands over and over. So we over and over and over and over do the same brands. We just learn what we start them at. I just wanted to interject that here because I think it's so super important. I don't think a lot of talk happens about the active listings. Everyone says, check the solds, check the solds. That's great. Check the actives too. Just see what people are doing and check other people and see what they're doing. Because we don't all have to sell our stuff at the lowest price possible, which is a lot of times what's in the solds. You can also use Terapeak. And that tool will go back a year to kind of give you a history on items. But yes, I know that I start pages around 30, 35 if they have a special name or style. And I usually knock about $5 off if they're capris. It's just what I do. That was a tangent, but that was a good tangent. I hope you learned something in there. All right, 504. I don't find these very often. I do like them. They usually have like a pink. They're called tilted, and they have the pink writing on the tag. I took a best offer of $25 for these. I paid like $3. And these are Levi's 505s, $29.99 out the door. Love my Levi's. Love them. Speaking of silvers, these sold at full asking price. So I'm used to taking best offers of 30 and 35 anymore on silvers. I love when they sell at the at the full asking price. So these sold for $40. Yay! Silvers are still my favorite, guys. But I do love some Levi's. I did take a best offer on this particular pair of $25. So, and again, with the whole knowing what I know from experience and just not comping anymore, typically, like these 505s, I find them in the droves out here in Florida, and I list them so much that I just list them. I start the women's at 30 and the men's around 35, 40, depending on the size. And I always go up $5 if it's a big size and down if they're capris. These are my own hard and tried fast rules I do for pricing. But when you're new and you're learning, make sure you're comping. And then when you have the experience under your belt and you're conditioned and you know these brands and you've done the repetition, you can then just start making up your own rules. When you have like 100% feedback and it's in the thousands and you have like, you know, that reputation on eBay and you're a top rated seller, you can kind of start playing around with prices a little bit more. When you know you have good keywords, good titles, good pictures, you're following all the best practices, you're doing everything you can to be pushed up in searches, and you've got all of that going for you, you can absolutely price a little bit higher and make your own rules for pricing, if that makes sense. But when you're new, you got to kind of do what you got to do to get to where you need to be. We were all there at one point, and you just work your way up. One day at a time, one listing at a time. How do you eat an elephant, guys? One bite at a time. So it's just slow and steady wins the race. I know things are slow right now and a lot of people are discouraged, but hang in there, guys. The sun will come out tomorrow. I shouldn't sing. Hurt people's feelings. Hit the thumbs up before you leave, guys. Helps the channel out so much. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Help us feed a hungry hippo. And hit the bell so you're notified when I put out new content. Also, join our Facebook group, Flippin' Hippos, a reseller pod. It's a really fun group full of really positive people. And hey, go be productive. Go make some money. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Y'all are the best. Bye.